RJD2 to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me
RJ,
all
what's
right?
up, man? Yes, I hear you. We had some last minute, tech difficulties there, but
I
glad
think we're
we
making
got
it work.
making it work. Are you in a car right now?
I am. It's the only place that I have like a controlled, I can be as loud as I want. I'm just read books with my kid and, if I go in my house and shout, it's going to be live, way too loud. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're a big car guy as well, so I didn't know if you'd really leaned into it and you had a car in your house, like like a car themed room or.
That's not I'm not living like that. Uh, I have seen. I don't know if you've seen. There's at least one guy I've seen in Japan that like he built this crazy. He's got a Countach and he built this crazy like in-house elevator. So he like
Yeah.
can drive in and then raise the car up to be like the centerpiece of his living room. It's fucking insane and opulent and that's
Amazing.
all.
Damn, son.
RJ, we're really happy to welcome you here. I was just saying before you got in here, I've been a longtime fan of your work. You have a new record out right now, The Fun Ones. We are supporters of The Fun Ones. If you guys are not up on that, make sure you check RJ out. It's really good. It's kind of a funk record, huh? It's like you leaned in on the funk. Yeah.
Pretty much. It's like I realized at a point that after sampling soul and funk records for so long that I felt like making a record like that and from live instrumentation and composition from the ground up. I felt like it was in some ways like the highest aspiration that I could have, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's sort of been for a while now, like the it's not the only target, but for this record, it was very much the target of what I was aiming for.
Absolutely. All right, cool. So RJ, if you guys have questions for RJ, drop them in the little question box at the bottom. And if we have some time at the end, we'll pick his brain and fulfill all of your rap nerd and hip hop production nerd fantasies here. RJ, is there a way for you to rotate your phone? Because right now you are sideways. If this is what we got, it's good.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Now you can do.
Perfect. Yeah.
I was doing that because it fits right in the steering wheel, and then I don't have to hold the phone. But yeah, I'll make it work.
Oh, got it. Well,
Here.
I mean, we'll make it work either way. But yeah, okay. There we go. So RJ, are you ready to test your hip hop wits tonight? Oh. RJ, are you there?
Sorry, it was cutting out. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. So we had somebody in the chat said we had vertical D2 right there. That was a questions exclusive. You're getting all the angles here.
I'm trying to get my lighting real fly right now. Look, so you can, I want to look fresh, man. So anyway.
Okay, well, listen, this show is not about.
Okay. Yeah, look at your ass. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. This is I'm not setting a very high, fresh standard.
I want to preface this with a little, debase myself a little bit. I'm probably gonna show my ass here. Okay. So
Okay.
I told you this before we were gonna do this. My memory is like a sieve. Like it's bad. So I just want to put that out there. Like I'm down. I'm gonna swing for the fences. But if I foul out, hey man, I told you it was gonna happen before.
You told us it was going to happen, and I think you've already proven your worth in this space here. But I will also say that you can always rely on the chat as well. The chat is a very vocal chat. So
that's kind of cheating though, like, right? Is it not? I don't know.
There's two schools of thought of guests that we've had on the show. You're like our 40-something guests that we've had, and some people are super into leaning on the chat, and some people refuse to even look. So we don't judge either way, but it's an option.
Let's do this. I'm gonna not rely on the chat unless it's way over my head, and if the question's like, way over, then I'll. But I'm gonna try to do this as much as I can without.
Hey, listen, guys, he's laying it all out for you. His philosophy, his strategy, we appreciate it. It's gonna be fun. So we're going to move into our first round, RJ, and our first round is called The Choice is Yours. This is general multiple choice. We're going to hop right into it.
Okay.
First question. Pete Rock famously was involved in, but only informally credited for the production on this song by A Tribe Called Quest? Is it A, Check the Rhyme, B, Award Tour, C, Electric Relaxation, or D, Jazz?
I feel like this is an anecdote that I heard back in the day, and I'm going to make an informed guess that's just going to go off of his style. I don't think it would be Check the Rhyme, and I don't think it would be Award Tour. I mean, my first hunch, and this is just on the aesthetics of the song, would be Jazz, but I could see it being Electric Relaxation. I'm going to go with D, Jazz.
He's going with D, Jazz. Let's hear it. This is the informal credit that he got. The answer was Jazz.
There you go. I feel like it was knocking around in the back of my head that was, you know, and I got sidetracked for, well, you might even bring it. There's another informal credit anecdote that was not Pete Rock and Quest related, but it was Pete Rock related, and I'm not going to go into that one because you might have already done that, but it was hard.
I think we've done that in another one, but are you referring to Juicy and the Notorious B.I.G.?
No, I'm talking about Troy.
Oh, Troy. Oh, okay.
The horn loop for Troy was, again, another like informally credited, here's the loop type of situation, and Pete Rock freaked it, and anyway,
It's
so
murky waters, right? Like, I mean, there's not really like a hip hop producers union that sort of standardizes like how this stuff goes. Like,
yeah.
You're somebody who, from my understanding, you typically have worked alone, but like, have you ever like sort of like got records from other people or sort of collaborated in a production sense?
No, not really. You know, and I didn't have. I think part of it was like this is a fairly common situation for people in the Midwest that I've noticed is like I didn't really come up with like an OG as far as like beat makers go. And I've talked to a lot of people in the Midwest and in Minneapolis and in Ohio and stuff who were in that situation where it's like they just kind of had to make it up as they had to figure it out on their own.
Yeah.
And that was like I think that contributed to this sort of like go it alone mentality, and so I think it did set the path for me kind of being the only producer working on a record.
Yeah. I mean, you're the hip hop lone wolf, as they call you in the game.
And I'm not the only one. There's many out there. So
yeah, absolutely. Much respect. All right, we're moving on to question 2. This one hits a little close to home. Which of these rappers has not been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Is it Kanye West, Ice Cube, Tupac, or Nas? No, hold on a second. There's a misprint here. We're going to eliminate one of these. Kanye West is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so there was a misprint here. So one of these 3, I just gave you a little bonus here. Which of these 3 is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I mean, the obvious answer is going to be Nas. If any of these guys are, I'd have to assume Pac. And then after that, but I don't know, it's weird because like Ice Cube has a long, you know what, at least, I don't know. Does he have a bigger catalog than Nas? He's been around obviously longer. I feel like he was a bigger catalog. On the numbers, he might not. Nas might have sold more records and have more gold records. But my instincts are to go with Nas.
I think you should trust your instincts.
Yeah, I'm going to go with D. All right.
He's going with Nas, and Nas is absolutely correct. Ice Cube is in the Hall of Fame because he was in NWA. So we sort of count that as an extension. Have you been to the Hall of Fame? How far is that from you?
I haven't. It's up in Cleveland, and I haven't. You know, and I'm not like a big. I mean, this is telling, but I have not been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I have been to the Motown Museum and the Stax Museum, and those are, frankly speaking, more for a guy like me. They're bigger destination places than the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame would be cool, but I mean, you're getting me off on. I'm getting myself off on non sequiturs.
We're all about the non sequiturs.
Okay. So being in the room at the Motown Museum was like I was losing my shit because like that was like, man, I can't even put into words how big of a deal it was, because you have no idea how many countless hours I've spent at this point. Not only, number one, like internalizing what you're hearing on a record, and particularly my soul and R&B is a big deal to me, but then moving into recording and engineering and stuff, and the more you record and work on live instrumentation, the more you realize that the room in which something is recorded, it leaves a thumbprint on the sound. So like,
right.
It was a really intense, both of those museums were really intense for me, because I could be in the room and really try to like draw out the dimensions by eye as much as I could, and where the parallel walls were and all the shapes of the space. And you already have the reference in your head of what the records sound like. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
it's like going to like a museum like about like the pyramids in Egypt that is in an actual pyramid. Like
yeah.
you're actually there, and you're like, oh wow, like this is like you're learning about it and you're inside of it. That's pretty incredible. I haven't been. I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, they're both great, but the Motown one is really cool. They do a tour, like a guided tour, and they talk about the history and stuff, and it's really cool.
Sweet. All right. So far, 2 for 2, RJ. You're not doing too bad. All right. Here's the next one. In 2015, this group successfully crowdfunded an album comprised of beats that sampled hours of session musicians jamming in the studio. Was it the Saint Lunatics, the Social Experiment, De La Soul, or the Far Side?
I'm 99.9% sure this was the De La record. It was the Anonymous Nobody De La record, right?
It says De La. Let's hear it. De La is correct. Raised like a crazy amount of money, I think, in like 10 hours. Like they surpassed their goal instantly, which is such a cool victory for a group that has like sort of historically been getting shit on in the last like not from like other artists or anything, but like De La is catching the raw deal of like the conversion over to streaming and the 21st century right now.
For sure. They might be the most unsung group in rap music history, in my opinion. Like live, they're fucking phenomenal. Their obvious catalog is their catalog, and part of me feels like they're so consistent and steady, and like they're never in the tabloids. They're never doing dumb shit. There's never any drama. There's never any beef. All they do is just like show up and make great music for damn near over 30 years now,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Probably my favorite rap group of all time.
What is your favorite De La record?
I mean, De La Soul is Dead is undeniable, but Balloon Mind State also was a big... I love 3 Feet High and I love all of their records. Every record is like, amazing. But I mean, De La Soul is Dead for me was like as impactful, if not more, than Paul's Boutique. So for a guy like me, it was just like, what the fuck? It really did set me on the path to do what I ended up doing.
Yeah, it's like the buffet serving style of samples, both of those records. It's just like, take it all, a little bit of everything. And today is actually the 24th anniversary of Stakes is High by De La Soul, which is,
shit.
Yeah. So didn't plan that, but it's funny how that worked out. That's not like the classic Prince Paul era per se, but still an amazing record. I think for a lot of people as well, depending on your age, I know some people who prefer that record. And that is like peak De La, which, yeah, I think for people of a certain age, like that sort of resonates more to them. But obviously, if you were there and around for the earlier records, you like the older ones.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love Stakes is High now, but I don't know about you. We lived through that transition, and I remember that record coming out, and it felt really dark. It was like the things that jumped out to me was like the sonic texture of it was really dark. The content of it was much darker than any De La record, to date, in my opinion. And then there was I don't want to say a complete lack of like drum loops, but that was a big thing that jumped out to me, is like, that was that like very on the grid kind of like rigid drum programming era thing, which is fine. And it's not that I dislike it, but you're coming off of just being inundated with like the swing of a drum loop, a breakbeat. And that's a thing that's like, you just can't replace the you know, a loop of a real drummer playing creates a feel to a record that it can't be duplicated.
Absolutely. How on a record like the Fun Ones, your latest album that just came out, is how much of that is drum loops versus actual like drum takes taken throughout a whole like 3 or 4 minute song?
I don't think there's any drum loops.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I would make I mean, one of the things that I started to do is that once I started recording, I was like, you know, I'd record full passes, and that's not to say there aren't edits in there, because it's really hard. I'm not at the place where I can play a drum passage for 3.5 minutes without fucking up. So
Right.
I will just be honest here. Like, I'll edit my drums sometimes because I'll have mistakes, but I would rather go in and you know, kind of like troubleshoot rhythmic imperfections and
Yeah.
keep the whole passage, you know, because you again, in the same way that like you can't fake a drum loop using an MPC.
Right.
And trust me, I tried to do it for years and years and years. It's basically impossible. You also
Yeah.
can't fake another thing that you get from having 3.5 minutes of drums is that there's just minute sound inconsistencies that happen in the snare hits and everything, and you might not be conscious of it, but your ears is picking up that information.
Yeah, totally. All right, if you're just joining us, we got RJD2 on the show. We're talking the Fun Ones, and we are doing hip hop trivia. So far, he's 3 for 3. Let's go into the last question of this round.
All
This
right.
producer produced the entirety of AC Alone's A Book of Human Language. Was it Bionic, Ahmed, Mumbles, or Fat Jack?
Mumbles.
Mumbles, he says with such confidence. And he is correct. Mumbles is correct. You did a
Love that
record.
record when it came. Oh my god, that record fucking slayed, man. I love that record.
Yeah,
So
and
good.
then you worked with AC Alone on a full album. You became the full album producer on Magnificent City, which was 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you're picking this record because honestly, Book of Human Language is probably largely, if not completely, responsible for me and AC deciding to do a record that's just us. You know, because I remember pitching the idea to him, and Peter, who ran what used to be Decon and then became Mass Appeal, who put those records out, Peter was also like, I think it's a great idea, and AC was on board. And I honestly think that either consciously or subconsciously, we were like, I shouldn't say success of Book of Human Language, but to me the creative success
The
of
acclaim,
that album.
for sure. The acclaim, yeah.
And it really did, you know, it was like a unified piece, and that was probably before that really became like a trend, so to speak. You know, that might have been one of the first records that was a rapper picking a producer and doing an entire record with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, how like hands-on were you guys with each other? Were you guys in the studio together, or were you sending tracks, or what was that process?
We did it almost completely through the mail. I mean, we would meet up periodically, but like
Yeah.
and this is how I do every record, because for me, you know, it's one of these things where it's like there's this kind of like people like the narrative around like, oh, they went in the studio and they knocked out the record sitting next to each other. And what people don't realize is like, if you force yourself to do that, you're not putting the art first.
Right.
Like what you're
It's
putting
a social thing at that point.
It's a social and it's a deadline thing. It's a budget thing. Like these are the things that like what it serves best is the deadline. And if you want to get your record done, that's great. And for bands like, you know, like bands like the White Stripes, where like they write the songs and then you go to record an album, they can afford to blitzkrieg an album in 2 or 5 or 7 or 9 days because everything's written. But rap music doesn't really, it's not made that way. You don't stress test your songs on the stage.
Right.
You don't. Nobody makes 12 songs and then road dogs them and stress tests them, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna go. It's the opposite, and that's the beauty of the art form, is that it's like you can get into the studio and let weird shit happen. De La Soul is Dead being a perfect example. Like that's
Absolutely.
You know. So anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so RJ, so far, 4 for 4. We're moving into our second round, and that is called Picasso Baby. So in the Picasso Baby round, I'm going to show you a. Yeah, I know it's such a hard beat. I don't want to play too long of it, or Instagram is going to shut us down. You know,
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Watch your
they're
ass, man.
really quick with the drops. So in this round, I'm going to show you a piece of an album cover, not the whole thing. And you have to identify what the album is by the little piece. Now you're a DJ by
Okay.
trade, so you know you've touched some records in your time, but we'll see how you
Yeah.
do on this one.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's do it.
All right, you just look to the sky for hope or something. You're like,
All right.
all
Here
right,
we
here
go.
we go. RJD2. First question: what album is this? Is it Camp Low, Uptown Saturday Night? Oh, he's just going for it. Camp Low is the
Camp Lo.
answer.
Yeah.
Camp Low.
Yeah. Camp Lo. Classic.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're playing the Marvin Gaye cover, but yeah, it's classic.
Absolutely. Hey, if you guys have questions for RJ, drop them in the little question box at the bottom. We're going to go through a little Q&A at the end of it. All right, let's breeze through it. We're going to go into the second one. What album cover is this? Is it Run the Jewels, RTJ3, LP, Fantastic Damage, Company Flow, Fun Crusher Plus, or Cannibal Ox, The Cold Vein?
Fun Crusher Plus.
Fun Crusher Plus, he says, with a confidence and authority. And he is absolutely correct. You put out some records on Def Jux, man. You remember that?
I sure do. I've told Jamie this story before, but there's a
Jamie being LP, guys.
LP,
LP.
So before Fun Crusher Plus was Fun Crusher was on Raucous, they put it out as it was really weird. It was a double LP on clear vinyl. As far as rap things go, that's probably up there as far as like collectibles, and I still have it. Anyway, that record came out independently. I don't know, sometime 97, 98, 99, somewhere around there. I don't know. And a DJ friend of mine was like, just this album's amazing, just buy it, on the strength. And I was like, okay, cool. And back then it was like I was, waiting tables. I didn't have a lot of money to spend on recordings.
Yeah.
So I bought this thing and I didn't get it at all. I mean, it went right over. I basically didn't like it at all. And so I put it on my shelf, and then like every month I would pull it out. And because I was into this thing for 12 or 13 bucks, I was like, man, fuck this. I'm getting something out of this. You know what I mean? I'm not selling it. I'm not, I paid my money. I anteed up.
Right.
And then so I did this maybe 4 or 5 times, and I kept pulling it out, and I'd be like, nope, not working. Nope, not working. Then maybe the 6th or 7th time I pulled it out, and it was like, it all just clicked. And it was like, bam, oh my God. And I finally got it. And I was like, this is incredible. But it was so different from what else was coming out at the time,
Right.
I'm telling that story to to illustrate what to me is like I learned a very powerful lesson in that, which was if you buy music, you're invested in getting something out of it.
Right.
And when you don't buy music, it's very easy to not give a shit. Like we all have had the experience of like streaming a record on Spotify and you don't care, you're apathetic, and you tune out 3 songs in and then you ditch it, And if you had bought that record, then you were invested in your enjoyment of it in a way that you just can't be when you're streaming. So anyway, that's fine.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah. What has it been like as somebody, I think I saw a picture once with you like backstage at a Run the Jewels concert like recently. And I don't know how often you guys keep in touch, but like this guy has had a really incredible like latest chapter in his career arc. What is that like for you? I mean, I just was revisiting like the Revenge of the Robots Def Jux DVD. Like I've been locked up inside for a while, so I'm looking at things like, I haven't seen this in a while. I'm like, it's just crazy to
You must
see,
be bored to
What'd you say?
You must be bored to be pulling that shit.
Yeah, you already know. No, but it's just so interesting to see that. And I just wonder like what that experience has been like. You guys have both gone on to do amazing things in your careers, but like he took a turn that I think even as like I'm a fan of his, I would never have predicted like to Run the Jewels shit.
No. I mean, and I've told him this on several occasions, but like his career trajectory is like so inspiring to a guy like me. Like, I fucking love it, man. And I, you know, every time they drop a record, it's, you know, and it's the truth, but I always end up telling him the same thing. Just like, dude, it's so exciting and amazing to see what you've achieved, you know? Because honestly, I mean, it's funny. You're playing like Fun Crusher Plus. If you had played that to me in '97 and said, at one point in time, this guy's gonna be in one of the biggest rap groups in the world, I'd have been like, get the fuck out of here, man. No, not a snowball's chance in hell. So
Yeah.
it's been so cool to see, man. It's just inspiring, you know? And to boot, the crazy part about it is that it's like the creative lineage, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to the new Run the Jewels record and you're like, oh yeah, it's just like a honing and a fine tuning of a style. But it's not like he had a style and he abandoned it and then went and did like trap music and was like, I'm gonna get successful doing this other thing.
Right.
You know,
It feels organic. It feels like justified. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on to the last question in this round. RJ, what album is this? Is it Common's Electric Circus, Frank and Dank, 48 Hours, The Roots, Things Fall Apart, or D'Angelo's Voodoo?
Oh gosh, I'm okay. And forgive me, folks, if I'm on a phone here. If my video looks like shit, I'm kind of trying to look at my. Okay, it's definitely not Things Fall Apart, and it's definitely not Voodoo. See, Electric Circus. I don't think I bought that record on vinyl.
Mm.
Oh, I'm gonna show my ass on this one. I want to go with Electric Circus, so I'm gonna do that. I feel like
Okay.
it is, but I think I might be wrong.
Let's
It's either
see
that
what
or
it
Frank.
is. Common's Electric Circus, going with that gut.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So you didn't buy this on vinyl? Was that like where do you stand in the Common discography? Like, what are your favorite records? Do you check for what he does now? Like, what is peak Common for you?
You know, it's peak Common for me is definitely Resurrection, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I also think that, like, I mean, I could name you 10 lines off of that record that I think are like peak moments in the history of rapping. Like, I think I literally think that record is like one of the most groundbreaking exercises in lyricism that's ever existed. And I love One Day It'll All Make Sense. I like Can I Borrow a Dollar? I grew to like Electric Circus, and like Water for Chocolate. I don't think he's ever made a bad record at all. You know, Common is an interesting guy where it's like, I feel like he always delivers. He never phones it in as an MC. And yet something happened along the way personally where it was just like, it's not that I didn't like it. It's that, like, I think maybe when he started acting or something, I just got to a place where, like, I wasn't rabidly checking for him. But I was a fucking spaz, man. In fact, so I moved to the Bay Area shortly after getting out of high school, and I lived there for about a year and a half, and I would go and see the Invisible Scratch Pickles practice at this club called Deco, and it was like, that period really, you know, kind of changed my life. You know, pointless story, but there was this, I look in the marquee of like Slim's, you know, and I see Common Sense, and, you know, Resurrection hadn't been out for that long at that time, and I was like, holy fuck, I'm gonna go see Common Sense. So I buy a ticket, I go, I show up, and it's a fucking reggae band. And I was like,
damn,
what?
son.
I was like, what the fuck is this? And it turns out the next album was when he went from Common Sense to Common. I was so pissed off.
Because there was a reggae band with that name?
Yeah, I went to see the band that most certainly had to cause him to change his name.
Wow.
So,
you threw a shoe at him or something, right?
Not good. I didn't even stay for the show. I said, fuck this, man. I was too mad.
Yeah. I would have asked for a refund. I don't know if they would have given it to you, but I would have tried to argue my case.
I think I might have gotten yeah. Anyway.
All right. We'll look into that. We'll investigate that later. All right. We're done with this round. Third round is called Digging in the Crates.
Okay.
This is our sample round. So I am going to ask you a question about a sample, play you the sample, and then you will answer. So let's move into our first one.
Okay.
Redman sampled this hip-hop group on Muddy Waters' album cut, Is He For Real? So I'm going to play you that Redman song right now.
Okay.
Is it Das Effects, The Roots, Kid and Play, or Diggable Planets?
That's the opening cut on Muddy Waters, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I love that album. I haven't listened to it in a long time. Are we talking about the loop, like the main sample?
Yes, the main sample, yes.
Because if it's not like a little vocal thing, then it's got to be the Roots. It sounds like a Roots chord change it sounds like a straight off Organics chord change.
The Roots is correct.
Holy shit! I never knew what that sample was from. I mean, it just sounds like some, you know what I mean? It sounds like a chord change in the tonality behind those first couple of Roots. That's crazy.
He sampled a Roots beat for a Redman song.
And it doesn't even sound like a Roots beat. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, there's another song on that album. We used this in another game, and Questlove talked about this recently. But Respond React, I want to say, from Ill-Duff Half-Life, is sampled on Beanie Man's Who Am I? Like the huge first Beanie Man single. And that Questlove has talked about, that got him his first plaque, because that single went platinum, or that album went platinum, and that's a Roots sample. Go look that up later. Yeah, that's
crazy. Is Respond or React
no, that's Clones. Respond React is the first one.
Was that the flip side of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I get those mixed up in my head for some reason. I think they were both on 12-inch singles at the time. If I remember
Yes. I believe they were. All right, we're moving into our second question.
Okay.
Sandworms on the Dune soundtrack was sampled by this.
You don't even need. Sorry. I'm fucking you up, man.
No, go ahead. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Who sampled Sandworms?
Large Professor. Mad Scientist.
All right, well, just for the hip hop mortals in the room, I'm gonna play the sample and then the song sample. Here's that Dune sample. And sure enough, Large Professor.
And I'm not gonna say it, but the real wild shit. Okay, I could talk about this song for the rest of your. I'm not gonna blow up your rest of your episode talking about this song, but
you can blow it up a little bit.
Okay, all right. Well, number one, I live by the code of don't snitch.
Yeah.
Anybody that listens to that Large Professor Mad Scientist record should recognize another sample that I still to this day have no fucking idea how it could have existed, because the liabilities around that are it's as big as it gets.
Wow.
And you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so that's that. I'll leave that. But also, that Dune record is on CTI. It was a David Matthews production. If I'm gonna assume it's probably Steve Gadd playing drums on that record. That was like peak CTI, just insane funk, man. It's like if you like Nautilus or any of the Bob James, those first 4 Bob James records, run to that Dave Matthews records, because front to back, it's just fucking great, man. It's really good.
It's got some great stuff. It's been sampled a lot too. We won't do any more snitching, but it's got some heat rocks on there, and a lot of great records came out of that.
Yeah, and just for listening, it's a great, front to back. You can just put that on.
No one listens to records just to listen to them. We only listen for... No, I'm just kidding. All right, last question in this round, RJ. You're doing great so far. RJ, dare I say, you've gotten every question right so far. So you're kind of killing it right now. All right. Which of these 1989 singles does not sample the Honey Drippers' Impeach the President drum break? I'm going to play you that classic drum break. Is it Big Daddy Kane, Smooth Operator, Nice and Smooth, Funky for You, De La Soul, Buddy, or the DOC, Mind Blowing?
Oh man, I'm ruling out the Nice and Smooth record because it starts with Impeach the President. Oh God.
So this is who has
Buddy,
not sampled it.
Meanie, say what? Meanie, say what? That's Buddy, right?
Yeah, that's Buddy.
I want to go. I'm gonna go with De La, Buddy.
All right, we have a prove out here. We're gonna prove it out. So as you said,
I might be going wrong.
This is where, listen, I'm sweating right now, and I have nothing to lose or gain here. All right, so here we go. Nice and Smooth. Sampled it.
Okay.
Smooth Operator sampled it. On the Hook. DOC, Mind Blowing. You are correct. De La Soul is the only record to not sample it.
Yeah, I can hear that when I recall the break in the De La record, I can hear the bongos in it. And if I were to sit here, I might be able to recall the break, but it's distinctly not a thing that's not
that break.
Do you want an Impeach the President non sequitur?
Let's go.
I'm already doing it. Okay. That pattern actually is really simple, right? Okay. It sounds really simple. There's a thing in that break, if you were to sit down on a drum kit and play, that makes it really fucking hard. And for like a year, so I spent 5 years probably, all I would do is just like, okay, I'm going to learn ultimate breaks and beats on drums.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn every break, and it was my goal. And I would learn Impeach the President, and it never sounded right. And there's a drummer named Adam Deitch who plays in this group called Lettuce, and he also has a group called Break Science. He's like a fucking machine. He's totally insane. And we were on tour once, and I was like, play Impeach the President, and he played it, and I realized that I finally realized what was wrong with it. And what it is the beat goes boom, 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 and if so, boom, boom. That thing that's on the one E and the of the two, boom, boom. That note right there that comes right before the 3 of the bar. You have to hit the hi-hat, the snare, and the kick drum all simultaneously. And it's a thing that physically, so much of playing drums is like, it's muscle memory stuff. And to my knowledge, it's the only drum break I can think of that has that component to it. You have to hit and because your body never does it, it took me probably 6 months to learn to just efficiently hit the snare, hi-hat, and kick at exactly the same note. So anyway,
if you know, you know.
That's amazing. I mean, if you're just tuning in now, RJD2 is breaking down the granular elements of every hip hop drum break.
More information.
This is the first in a 6-hour series. All right, RJ. So far, knocking it out the park. We've come to our final round, and the final round is called Time's Up. So what we do in this round, you are going to have 90 seconds to answer 5 questions in the round of your choice.
All right,
so
I'm
going to
focused.
present you your 3 categories. You choose which one. You pick your poison here.
Okay.
Your categories tonight are A Tribe Called Quest, musician vibes and stuff, hip-hop song covers, or let's see how well you remember the 2020 Grammy Awards.
Let's go hip-hop song covers.
He's going hip-hop song covers. Okay, so RJ, here are the rules. I'm just going to review for you. You will have 90 seconds to answer the questions. If you don't know the answer, you can pass, and we can come back to it. If you answer it incorrectly, that question is burnt. You can use the chat. The chat will help you. And I have OC's time's up here. It is time to 90 seconds. So when the time is up on OC, your time will be up. So you're going for it. Everything clear? Ready to go?
I think so. Let's do it.
And remember, the chat will help you, but there is a lag on the chat. So you can use the chat if you choose to.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, wait. Okay, I haven't even been scrolling on the chat. Do I scroll to forgive me, folks. This is my first time doing this live shit. This IG live. I'm green. All right, I'm at the bottom. Okay, got it.
All right, you're at the bottom. People are saying you're killing it. People are saying, oh, wow, RJD2 right now has a perfect score. Let's see. Nobody has ever gotten a perfect score on this game. Fonte got close. Don Will from Tanya Morgan got real close. I'm nervous right now, but I think
man, it's getting hot.
Yeah, it's getting hot. Don't turn the AC on in your car.
Cosmo's in this motherfucker. Cosmo, hey, man.
Cosmo Baker, former guest on the show.
My guy.
Here we go. You're doing song covers. Ready?
Okay.
90 seconds on the clock. Here we go.
Okay.
Run DMC paired with this classic rock band in the 80s for a cover of their song Walk This Way.
Smith.
That is correct. Schoolie D's PSK was covered by this artist on his mid-90s double album.
Skip.
All right, Skip. Jay-Z borrowed a line from Ice-T to use as the hook for this Jay-Z single.
Come back to that one.
All right, we'll come back to it. RZA, Old Dirty Bastard, and Method Man recorded a cover of a song by this group for 1997's In the Beginning There Was Rap compilation on Priority Records.
That's my fourth one. Skip.
Okay, he's going to skip it. On his collaborative album Brighter Days with Ninth Wonder, rapper Merce covered a song by this hip-hop group from the 90s.
All right, let's come back to that one. All right. All right. We're for Jay-Z. Jay-Z, 99 Problems.
That is correct. Okay, who covered Schoolie D's PSK on their double album in the 90s?
Did you say it was a rock band?
No, it's a hip-hop artist.
Oh. Double album, mid-90s.
Correct. RJ, our time is up.
Shit!
All right.
Damn it.
Listen,
all right.
you did very well. We're gonna go. The final round is designed to stump, and
yeah,
you know.
Okay. All right, break it down.
Good job there. All right. The Notorious B.I.G. covered PSK on Life After Death. He has an interlude called B.I.G. Interlude, and it's the same beat, and he's rapping over it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
RZA, Old Dirty Bastard, and Method Man recorded a cover of Run DMC's Sucka MCs on the In the Beginning There Was Rap compilation. Came out in 1997. And Merce covered The Far Side's Other Fish with a different beat, rapped all the same lyrics. It was basically Other Fish over a different beat on the album Brighter Days. RJ, you did an amazing job. I'm going to total up your score right now. No matter what happens, you are a champion in our eyes.
Thank you.
While I do this, my question to you, we always like to ask our guests who have gone through the ringer now, who do you know that we should challenge to bring on the show? This is your moment, like WWE style, to talk into the camera and challenge an artist or somebody you know who would be great on this show.
You did Dante Ross. You did Cosmo?
We did Dante and Cosmo, yeah.
Let me think on that. Who's the most knowledgeable about rap? I feel like Diplo might be good at this, but I don't know. You know, I don't know if that's realistic or not.
I lost his number. I don't have it anymore.
I don't.
All right, we can come back to it.
Yeah. Let me think on that. Let me marinate on that one too.
Because this is not good television, just us wondering like, who we should get. So listen, if you guys have questions, RJ, we have about like 14 minutes left. Can we do some Q&A with the chat here?
Definitely.
All right, let's see. Drop them in the box, guys. I'm gonna go through now. All right, here we go. Spintich says, any good tour stories from the Def Jux days? Mad love, RJ.
There's a lot. Oh yeah, I mean definitely good ones. The challenge is going to be non-incriminating tour stories from the Def Jux days becomes the question. Here's a benign. I'll tell you a. Let's see.
Benign tour story from RJ exclusive.
So in fact, the Revenge of the Robots tour went to Europe. I'll tell two stupid stories that because they're the first things that I can think of that. Oh, I gotta. No, that might be. I don't think it's that incriminating. I'll leave a name out. I'll tell three quick stories. One is I recently, about a month ago, I came across a picture from the Revenge of the Robots or that era tour, and it was one of the artists on Def Jux, and I won't say I thought it was funny. It was hilarious, but somebody threw panties on stage, and then he kept the panties, and then he put the panties on over his jeans, and I've got this great photo of one of the artists with panties over his jeans making this face, and it's a good funny pick. Story number two, when we did the Revenge of the Robots in Europe, we, for whatever reason, Aesop and Cage and Copyright didn't or couldn't make it. So it just ended up being me and Liff and L for a month in Europe.
Yeah.
And we were getting sick, and the tour was a clusterfuck, and like the whole thing was like, it was all based around one festival, and that festival fell off. So like a week in, we knew like you're gonna go home with $200 for a month's worth of work type of thing, and I was just like, oh my! And I had already been out forever, and so it was just I remember riding in a van in a tour vehicle, and it was all a cargo van with a front seat, and so us and the driver all had to sit in the front seat in this like 90-degree upright, and we hadn't slept, and it was fucking miserable. And lastly, if you want to, the story I tell all the time about how bad the American healthcare system sucks is we've all had the bad experiences here. In Europe, on one of those European Def Jux era tours, they used to make these big concrete platters that you would put turntables on so the records wouldn't rumble.
Yeah.
And one night I was pulling the turntables off the table, and it was resting on one of those big, I mean, it's 24 inches by 24 inches. It's 2 inches of concrete, and it slid with the record with the flight case as I was pulling it. I didn't see it because it's was underneath the flight case. So I pulled, and this 24 inch by 24 inch concrete slab fell directly on my foot. I got lucky, didn't break anything, but I went to the ER. I had to go to the ER in England, and it was like 14 pounds. So
amazing.
And I have a story about it, and I've had thousand, four or five figure, hospital experiences in America. So anyway,
USA, we're the best. The Revenge of the Robots tour is DVD is definitely filed under the touring often fucking sucks catalog of. I didn't remember that. I think watching it when it first came out and I was younger, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like they're on the road and it's great. And like I think like all of the other more subtle elements sort of just flew over my head. But watching it now as a more grown adult, I was like, oh, this was not a fun tour. Like I mean, I'm sure there were elements that were, but yeah.
Can you watch people's souls just like shrivel and die in real time on the DVD?
It was amazing because it wasn't even an HD camera, and it still was able to capture that soul like shriveling.
Yeah, it comes right through, man.
It was amazing. Also, for the record, you got 12 out of 15 right, RJ, which is a very respectable score that puts you in definitely our top third of candidates, and we'd love to have you back at some point.
Man, this is a blast. You run it back, man. Anytime.
Yeah. Okay. We've got another question. Did you sample a Turkish record from 1976? Tell us how you came across it. I don't think you're going to answer this, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about why you won't answer this. And this is maybe the don't snitch portion.
I will lay out, in keeping with things like, De La Soul's experiences and Paul's Boutique experiences, and a number of others. No, I'm not going to answer that question, but what I will answer is the why of why nobody answers that question, and that's this. When records get made out of samples, and you're looking at like a lot of them, there's effectively, you can cross a threshold at which it effectively becomes impossible to clear anything, even if you had like the the willpower and the capital to do it, it's effectively impossible. You would have to get 25 people to all agree to a portion of publishing, basically, that it's just not feasible. And so what you end up with is this conundrum where it's like, and I understand both sides of that dynamic, and I understand why it makes perfect sense to me when people are like, oh, it's fucked up that people sample, and I get that. What I keep coming back to is like, would you rather have that art not in the world?
Right.
And that is a thing that for me, it's I don't know. I feel like the world is a better place for things like Paul's Boutique or 3 Feet High and Rising and so on and so forth. 36 Chambers, so on and on and on and on and on. And so there is naturally like there's a give and take between the business side of it and the art side of it. But I feel like at the end of the day, like on our deathbeds, are we going to look back and begrudge business things that were however they shook out, when we were 20, or are we going to, think about the art that gave you an experience,
art that was created.
So
absolutely. All right, less philosophical question here. Will Icebird ever put out another album? Icebird is your collaborative project with Aaron Livingston, or Son Little as he goes by now.
I hope so, man. And Icebird's up there with, like, I just talked to Aaron on the phone last week. I mean, we talk about it all the time. I try not to talk about it incessantly, but it is
like bug him, like
yeah, in both ways. You know what I mean? It's like, we've been situations where I've said, hey, Aaron, whenever you want to start the next Icebird record, cool. And then he would say the same thing. Maybe 2 years ago, he was over at my house and he was like, yeah, man, whenever you want to get up and running on the next Icebird. And I at the time, whatever it was, I was right in the middle of some shit that was like, oh God, the next 8 months of my life are just going to be, booked up or whatever. So the short answer is I very much hope so. And I think it's realistic. It just comes down to us having to sync up at the same time and be available.
Yeah. Good answer. All right, we got time for a few more. Instagram cuts us off at the hour, so we have about 5 minutes left. What's your favorite record from 1993? Asked Patrick Man.
Let's see. I'm gonna. Yeah. 93 is 36 Chambers. 93 or 92?
Yes, 93.
It is 36 Chambers. But I feel like Balloon Mind State was also 93, wasn't it?
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, 93 was Midnight Marauders, 36 Chambers. Yeah, heavy hitters. And yeah, I believe, it was Balloon Mind State as well. So
I want to say Balloon. Gosh, that's a really hard one. At the time, that year, if it was the year that, oh Jesus, I mean, at the time in '93, it would have been Midnight Marauders. But in hindsight, that gets much harder. I mean, 36 Chambers is really close to my heart, so it might be that now.
All right. Dirty Macadamia asked, was there one specific year that stands out, good or bad, with the way your mindset shifted completely with the way you approached music? That's an interesting question.
That is a really interesting question. That's a great question. Shit. You should ask everybody. Everybody should get asked that question.
Yeah.
Let's see. 2000, sometime around 2000, somewhere between 2004 and 2006, I realized that it was not sustainable for me to rely solely on sample-based methodologies to make records for the rest of my career. And so it was when I really had to diversify and basically start, that sent me down the foray of live instrumentation. So that was like good. And then on the bad, or I should say scary, it turned out good. 2009 was the year that I left XL and started a label. And that was the scariest year of my career because it felt like if I am actively walking away from, a situation like Beggars, which is I'm an indie side, very, very big label. I felt like I am basically going to be tainted goods, and if this doesn't work, I'm fucked, is how it felt. It worked out, and, knock on wood, but it was scary at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, you've done such amazing things, from your solo records, collaboration, outside production, the Insane Warrior, which I wanted to have a whole tangent on, but I don't think we're gonna have time. I listen, bro. I ride hard for the Insane Warrior to this day. Like,
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I'm the president of the street team for the Insane Warrior.
Thank you.
I think now is a good time to cut it off because we had Destroy on yesterday, and like it literally chopped him off in the middle of his sentence, and I don't want that to happen here. But RJ, man, we thank you so much for joining us on the questions. Huge fans.
Thank you for having me. And seriously, I know it's weird to bring somebody back like right away. So give it some time, let it breathe. But seriously, you want me to come back? I'll do this again anytime, and this is a blast.
Absolutely, and we're soon to be announcing a new platform and format where people will be able to go head to head. So we might be able to have you and your buddy Cosmo, head to head, or
He's too deep, but yeah, give me somebody that's more my speed. Cosmo will smoke you, but yeah, somebody else. Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Any final things that people can look for? Follow you. I know you were doing streaming for a little bit. Are you still streaming? Like, what's the? It's a pain in the ass. I
fallen off lately. I have admittedly fallen off lately, but I mean, for me, it's like I lead with the records. So if anybody hasn't heard the fun ones, go check it out. Or any of the other records in the catalog. There it is. Thank you, sir. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Go check the fun ones. Follow RJD2. Buy the record. Support. RJ, thanks, man, so much. Be safe.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Take care.